What's up, everyone? You listen to Casca Grossa podcast, a place where we discuss and explore all things about Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, self-defense, and how Jiu-Jitsu can improve your life on and off the mats. What's up, everyone? Thiago here. Welcome to another episode of the Casca Grossa podcast. Today, I've got a special guest here with me. He's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's an MMA amateur fighter with a record of 4 wins. He's also a multiple times BJJ state champion, gi and no gi, 4 times Pan Pacific champion, 3 times Australia champion boxing, and many other Jiu-Jitsu titles. Please welcome Casca Grossa, Cody Haddon. How are you, Cody? Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Thiago. Thanks, bro.
So, Cody, let's start at the beginning. I know you train all the martial arts and you did a lot of boxing. So when did you start training BJJ?
I started training BJJ properly when I was about 10 years old. I thought I was training Jiu-Jitsu before that at the gym we were training, but I was more so just grappling.
Okay.
But yeah, actual Jiu-Jitsu, yes. Properly with the gi on and that, probably 10 or 11 years old, yeah.
Right,
10,
right.
11.
So what led you to train Jiu-Jitsu? Because you did boxing and...
I always wanted to fight in MMA even since I was a little kid, so I started training Taekwondo when I was 6 years old.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't think anything of it. I was just doing it because I wanted to find something I was good at. And then from there I started to watch. My dad was a big fan of the UFC, so he used to watch that all the time, and I was like, I wanted to give it a go. So then once I felt comfortable on my feet, when I was about 10 years old, I started looking for a jiu-jitsu gym to train at. But back then in Perth, we didn't actually have like many jiu-jitsu gyms at all. There was, especially north of the river, I think there was only like Submission Factory or something like that, just 1 or 2 gyms, you know, everything was just starting up. So I went to one gym in Wangara, which we were doing. I went there asking the guy, I said to him, I want to do some jiu-jitsu. I already got the striking, like, do you guys do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And the guy was, yeah, we do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and end up training there. And the truth is, the guy, he's not even belted at all in Jiu-Jitsu. Okay. And yeah, we started training, and we were just doing no-gi grappling. We were like doing leg locks and all sorts.
Just wrestling,
wrestling,
you know, with
no actual anything. So we were training, doing leg locks and all sorts, like at 10 years old, doing heel hooks with each other. It's just like breaking heels and that at 10, you know, so we didn't even know how to do it or
so there was no black belt supervision or anything like that?
Not at all. Not at all. It wasn't jiu-jitsu at all. And then when I met Fabio, that's when I started doing my coach. When I met Fabio, that's when I started doing proper jiu-jitsu with the gi on and proper rules and things like that. I remember actually one of my first jiu-jitsu competition, I didn't even know the rules. To be honest, the comps that were run a while ago, the kids were doing guillotines and flying arm bars.
That's insane,
and all
man. That's insane.
The comps were run so poorly. There was no weight divisions or anything, and kids were always getting hurt. And I was not even training proper jiu-jitsu and just jumping in and competing, you know. So I didn't really. I nearly got disqualified a few times, but then when I met Fabio, I started training properly. Then I started competing properly.
Oh yeah. Cody, where do you train now, and how are you? You know, if you can tell us a little bit of your training routine and how you're getting ready for the next fight at the Eterno MMA 47 on the 7th of September in Perth. So can you tell us a little bit of your training routine and how you're going?
I train twice a day, Monday to Friday, and then I'll train on Saturdays once or twice, but 6 days a week always training. So I spend most of my time actually at my jiu-jitsu school, my jiu-jitsu gym, coringabjjaustralia. That's where I do all of my MMA training out of, and obviously my jiu-jitsu training. Mondays in the mornings, most of my training is all conditioning. So Mondays I'll do running, and then in the evening we do jiu-jitsu training combined with wrestling training. It's all no gi, obviously. Tuesdays I'll do some CrossFit. I train CrossFit up at CrossFit Norseman in Butler. They've been helping me out for a while now. I've been with them for a year and a half.
That's great, man.
Oh, actually, I could have even been with them 2 years now. Sorry, a year and a half, I'd say. Training there, I do that on Tuesday mornings, and then we do MMA sparring here at Coringa Jiu-Jitsu on Tuesday night.
You do a bit of wrestling as well. I see you're training a lot wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling.
Recently.
Wrestling on Mondays. Mondays at the gym wrestling, and then sparring Tuesday nights, Coringa Jiu-Jitsu. Wednesday mornings I go back to CrossFit, and then in the evenings I'll actually go to my boxing gym, Nashi's Boxing Club in Wangara, which we do like partner work sparring.
That's great.
Thursdays will be I go actually use the UFC gym in Balcutta. I've got a friend there, and we just do some pad work. They've got a nice cage there, so we use the cage and do some pads and things like that. In the morning, some striking training, and a little bit of conditioning, and then in the evening down at Coringa Jiu-Jitsu I spar again on Thursday night. And then Fridays CrossFit in the morning, and then followed by some technical pad work and things like that.
That's pretty full on.
And
training,
then, and then Saturdays open mat jiu-jitsu training at Coringa Jiu-Jitsu. So that's pretty much how my week goes. So every day, twice a day, other than Saturdays just once. Sunday obviously rest. And conditioning in the morning, followed by some form of training and sparring in the evening.
That's great, man. Can you tell us a little bit of your last fight at the Eternal MMA? How did you go with that? And it was a great fight. I was watching yesterday. Guy was really tough.
Yeah. Really
tough opponent. And you guys both did pretty well.
Yeah. So it was a good fight, probably my biggest test in MMA to date, that fight. I was expecting that though. Naveed's a very legit opponent.
Very, very, very technical as well.
Yeah, and he's a purple belt on the ground like me too.
Yep.
He's had a lot of experience standing up in Muay Thai. And he had a few more MMA fights than me as well. And he's always fought high caliber opponents. So I knew going into the fight that he was going to be a very hard fight, very tough fight. Yeah. So in the fight, I faced a bit of adversity. I couldn't do what I normally do straight away. He was very strong, very big for the weight. I was so surprised of how much bigger he was than me. And when we got in there and started clinching, I noticed how strong he was straight away. So it
was a really good fight. I really enjoyed watching you guys, and you did great. Naveed was brilliant as well.
Yeah, so tough. He's probably the best opponent, best well-rounded opponent that I've fought to date. And I kind of knew in that fight that I wasn't going to just finish him in the first round,
absolutely.
I mean, I never actually plan on finishing anyone in the first round. It's just how things happen in the fight when you start fighting. Things take place. But I knew that because of his jiu-jitsu experience and things like that, it's going to take a little more than just a double leg and a choke.
Absolutely. That was a really great fight. Really enjoyed it. So Cody, what's your favorite submission and why?
I actually, my favorite submission's actually a triangle. Everyone thinks it's the rear naked because that's how I keep winning all my fights. But I think in MMA, it's just the rear naked's a very high percentage choke because it's generally you're on top of someone punching them, they turn and give their back looking for a way out. That's why the rear naked's always there.
And the back is always a very dominant position as well. So you got a lot of options there, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, but if you're asking just my favorite submission, it's actually a triangle. I love the triangle. Preferably like off my back from closed guard. I always like doing triangles. I mean, I haven't really been on my. I mean, being on your back in MMA is not like the best thing, you know. So and you don't really want to be there unless you're just some freak like Gary Tonin or one of them guys who could just run in and, you know, jump. Pull guard and just get leg locks or whatever, you know. I'm not at that level, you know. So, but if you're asking my favorite submission, definitely a triangle, man. Triangles are my favorite. Oh, even since I was a little kid, you know, I've always loved triangles, always.
Nah, that's cool, man. You got me a couple of times when we were training, you know. I remember that. And and it's favorite. Really good.
Skinny legs.
Cody, can you tell us what are the main benefits that Jiu-Jitsu has given you?
So Jiu-Jitsu main benefits, man, is obviously how much you know. Like if you're fighting someone who doesn't know what they're doing, how much of an advantage and how much of an understanding that you can have over the body, the human body, like
the dynamics
and how things work and leverage in total. Like if you know just even a little bit of jiu-jitsu and you're fighting someone, I get it all the time, you know, my brother's friends and that, they're big guys, big strong dudes, they want to wrestle with me. You know, Cody, let's have a wrestle or whatever. And I remember wrestling with them when I was like 55 kilos, you know, wrestling with guys who are 80, 90 kilos, and if they don't know what they're doing, you can honestly do whatever you want to them. You can make them completely defenseless, you know. Toy with them. You honestly have like such an advantage and a leverage and actually an understanding of how the body works.
Exactly.
Not only that, there's such mental benefits of jiu-jitsu. But I mean, I think, to be honest, if you're looking to get into any martial art at all, any martial art is definitely Brazilian jiu-jitsu is definitely the number one, because not only are you learning how to submit someone on top, but you're learning how to submit someone on your back. Learning every whereas like some sports are very, like, for instance, like wrestling. Wrestling's great, right? But wrestling is made for the guy who's on top. That's how the fight stops. Like, if one guy pins the other guy, all right, well, now this person who's on their back, all right, stop and start again. Jiu-Jitsu, there's no stopping and starting again. You keep going. If you're on your back, you learn to fight off your back. If you are on top, you learn how to fight on top. You know, if you're both standing, you learn how to take someone down. If you're on your back and you want to stand up, you know what I mean? There's no jiu-jitsu, there's no stop and start. You stop when someone taps.
When someone taps, or, you know, correct. Yeah.
You know, so I believe that jiu-jitsu for me that's what it's been the most beneficial in that sort of sense. In a self-defense, from a self-defense perspective, it's definitely the most ultimate martial art, I believe. That's
great, man. Do you think it's like a superpower?
Jiu-jitsu, 100%.
It is a superpower,
oh my God, 100%. Like, I think there's levels to it, and you get someone who's like a black belt or whatever, and you know, unless, like, no matter how much you train, no matter how fit you are, no matter how strong you are, what if they've been training for, you know, 15 years or whatever, it doesn't matter. You can train every day for 4 years and you still won't be at that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's honestly, it is powerful. Like having a superpower. It really is. It really is.
That's great, man. Cody, let me ask you, where do you see yourself in 3 years' time with all things that are happening to you right now?
In 3 years' time, I would hope to be in the UFC by then, you know. 3 years' time, man. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in the UFC by then, 100%. I'm doing everything right. There's nothing. There is nothing going on right now that can can tell me that I'm not going to be there in 3 years' time. With everything that's going on right now, it's kind of, there's only one way, and that's
absolutely.
I mean, unless I break my neck or get hit by a bus, tomorrow, then that's not going to happen. But yeah, 3 years time,
absolutely,
UFC,
buddy.
or even if it's not UFC, there's a lot of other promotions now. ONE FC.
You go Bellator,
Bellator, man. I mean, that stuff, people
it's
are getting
a lot.
They're getting paid even better. You look at a lot of the UFC fighters are getting, going to these promotions, getting more money, and most of them are getting knocked out. And that, these people are. Some people are having their hardest fights ever. Like, I think Mighty Mouse the other day, he fought. He had a fight in ONE FC, and he faced a lot of adversity in that fight. Right. It's probably one of his toughest fights to date. Yeah. And that wasn't even in the UFC. So I think the level of these other promotions are just as high. So for me, in 3 years' time, I mean, I'm saying that I'm going to be in the UFC, but it doesn't really matter. I think that I might be in ONE FC, I might be in Bellator. It doesn't matter. But one of the big promotions. Definitely 3 years' time I'll be there. Of
course, man, of course. I truly believe you're going to have a great future on the sport, and definitely you got great things coming your way, man. And you got such a great team here at Coringa Jiu-Jitsu. What's the most gratifying thing Jiu-Jitsu has given you?
I mean, feeling of just being able to defend yourself, I guess. And I mean, the belts and that doesn't really bother me too much, but the competitions is probably what I've value more. The success I've had in like competing throughout jiu-jitsu. That's absolutely. Like, I mean, belts to me, belts doesn't. I don't care about belts. Some people might be like, oh, I've got a stripe, or I've got this, I've got that. Awesome. Whereas I just want to progress and get better. I don't care if I wouldn't care if I was still a white belt. I just want to get better, and the way I can see if I'm getting better or not is by competing, and if I'm winning, I'm obviously doing well. So that's pretty gratifying for me.
It's a great mindset, Cody. I love your mindset, and that's why I think you're Casca Grossa, which is a person who gives a lot of work to his training partners. You're very dedicated, has a technical level about normal, and gives the impression that nothing shakes you. Always ready to help others to improve their jiu-jitsu as well, and always ready to face new challenges on and off the mats. Cody, wins the next fight going to be, and who you fighting?
So the next fight is on the 7th of September here in Perth on Eternal MMA 47, and I'm fighting a guy from, I think he's originally from the US, from the USA. He moved to Thailand, and he's been training over there a little bit, and I think now he's living in Melbourne. So it's another interstate fight. The guy's a jiu-jitsu purple belt as well, and he's actually a pro boxer. He's had
that's good.
Yeah, he's had I think 7 pro boxing fights. He's won 5 of them, lost 2 of them, and he's had an amateur MMA fight as well. But I've heard that he has been training for 13 or so years. He's been training for a long time. He's a bit older than me. But we're fighting at flyweight, so it's good. Yeah, that's my real weight. That's my weight division. So
what's the weight division?
Flyweight. So I can weigh in at I think it's the threshold is 57.2 is the heaviest I can be. Yeah. So it'll be a really good fight. I don't know much about the guy. I haven't seen many of his fights, but I do know that he's a pro boxer, and he's been training for a very long time. So I think it'll be a tough fight.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing to see you guys fighting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. The time to fight, I think more so about not thinking anymore and already knowing what to do and being in the zone, and that's what matters when you're in the fight, like
super focused.
Yeah, like being in there, and like I think people, I don't know, for me, like some people do visualization, and I know it's beneficial. I really know it's beneficial, and like a lot of people do the visualization stuff, and I definitely I don't sit there and close my eyes and visualize, but I have this thing where when I'm fighting, I'm kind of like always thinking about the end result. Like no matter what, I'm getting my hand raised. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And feeling good. Like when I'm fighting, it's a matter of being in the zone. Being in the zone, and you shouldn't have to think about what you're going to do in there. You just have to know that no matter what situation I'm in, I'm gonna have an answer. And I don't need to know what that answer is right now, but when I'm in that situation, I will have an answer.
That's great, man. I mean? That's a great mindset. I love it.
Like that's all comes back down to being present. You can't think too much ahead. You can't think especially when you're in the fight.
You gotta be present.
You gotta be present the whole time. And that's jiu-jitsu's taught me that a lot. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're like, I'm not gonna go for this guard pass because he might do this, and by the time you're thinking about what's gonna happen or in the future, you've already been swept, you've already been
submitted,
you have to be in the present. Or if something doesn't work, you can't sit there and go, shit, that didn't work. Oh my god, because now something else is happening right in front of you, and
you can't really stop, right?
Yeah.
So if the guy moves, you move.
You move. Yeah, you got to be present. Knowing that, just believing that you've trained hard, and knowing that you've done everything you can in the gym, and that you're for being confident in every position. Like if I get taken down, I'm on my back, I can fight from there. If I get pressed up against the fence, I know I can escape from there. If we end up having a stand-up war, I know I can fight from there. If we end up in a clinch, I know that I can fight from there as well. So I don't need to think about when the guy grabs me here, how am I going to grab him here? No, when I'm there, I'll just do it, because I've done the training in the gym.
Correct.
Therefore, in the fight, it comes second nature, Yeah.
I love the champion mindset.
Yeah.
And I know when I train with you, you know, I try to do everything, and then you do something else that's gonna outsmart me.
It's all about tactics.
But
right?
it's really the human chess. Jiu-Jitsu is really a human chess.
It is. Yeah, it
is. And it's all about the control, the leverage, positioning, attack, defense, timing. We're getting at the end of this podcast, guys, and Cody, I had such a great time talking to you, and I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, no worries, man.
To be here, and you're more than welcome to come back on the show anytime, man.
Yeah, sweet.
Thank you very much, Cody. Really appreciate it, man.
Cheers, brother. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oos.
Folks, you can follow Cody Haddon at Cody Haddon MMA to keep up with him and see what he's up to. And before you go, guys, please don't forget to follow us, comment, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next episode. Oos.